one. Although you are the great, you tarry with the small. Love flows in and out, never giving up. You live within until within's without.
Come set our souls afire, almost ancient of days. I hear you calling. Our lives are longing. Sweet inspiration. Raise my expectations.
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
All right, we're back and we're live. Feet to the fire. I'm your host, James, south of Yanchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. We're well into year 17. We're going to be hitting starting 18th in a little bit. January 5th is our official anniversary. We'll be doing it until I die or go broke, one or two, or both. Anyway, I got some news I want to go through here. In a little setup to what I want to talk about was, are we living in the latter days, the end times? I mean, we've heard this a lot. It's not the first time. You know, everybody knows Harold Camping has been talked about this in 85 and then in 2012. And it's been going on for a while. In fact, you know, if you look at the New Testament, the disciples were looking for Jesus to come back like right away. Like, okay, when is he coming? You know, so... But I wanted to go through some things, and this is, you know, for those people who are reaching for the turn off the button and go, oh, no, it's going to be a Bible-thumping show. No. And I'm not going to be talking about particular doctrine. Pre-trib, post-trib, no-trib. I'm not going to go into any of that because it's not my point. My point is there are certain things in the Bible, Jesus in particular, his talking, I have outlined stuff in Matthew and in Revelation, just to give this outline of a litmus test, I think, because I've been studying this for the 70s. Dr. Jack Van Ippy, who's still around, God bless him, he's still around, he's doing a big push, and he's thinking Jesus is coming at any moment, or the rapture is coming at any moment, and, I guess Jesus is coming in the rapture at any moment, and so he's doing the last push in his ministry. All 80, it was like 85 or something of them. He was near death. He was paralyzed. He couldn't talk. And here he is. So, hey, you know. And the guy has been, whether he's pretty hardcore Baptist type, but he's been pretty straight up. You know, there's no improprieties with him. There's no money problems. There's no female problems. The guy's been pretty straight up, so I got to give him credit. We may differ in certain doctrinal areas, and, far be it for me to correct him, but still got to give him credit for his beliefs, and he lived it out. But anyway, I digress a little bit. Are we living in the latter days? And I'll define that, and we will get to that in a moment. But I want to do some news stuff, which will set up what's going on. Let's see, where am I? Got to get the... Oh, now my screen just went out. It went out again. I tell you, it's not without fun here. Boy, I tell you, I'm not going to get into all this impeachment stuff because there's many people doing it, and and you could listen to them, and they're doing a fine job talking about it and how ridiculous it is, and how what I will say spiritually, though, and I quoted this. Oh, it might even be here on my page. I think I posted it. Let me scroll down. Yeah. All right. Here is the quote. This is actually on my... Oh, what the heck was my screen? In and out here. Come on, folks. Cooperation here. Radio show. All right. This is from Luke. And again, I use the NASB. Not that it's... I just like how they work behind it. Very accurate. Looking through to find out what the words are. Not making it easily readable as their number one goal. Making it accurate as best they can. Etc. These are the times we're in. The liars and hypocrites be warned. But there is nothing covered up that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. Accordingly, whatever you have said in the dark will be heard in the light, and whatever you have whispered in the inner rooms will be proclaimed from the rooftops. And I think that's very apropos on this, because what is happening is, it's one thing when they tried with the collusion and all this stuff to get rid of Trump from, I would presume, from cleaning the swamp and getting through the corruption, if that's enough, and then throw in a little child trafficking and whatnot for the elites, throw that in for dressing, icing, and you got good reasons for them to get him out. Well, at first they were kind of come up with this Russian thing, and it didn't work out. So now they're just making stuff up. They're not even apologizing. And finally, some people are asking Biden about him doing exactly what they said Trump did, which he didn't, and he just won't talk about it. So, but that is something that's, I think you could put that in as a piece of the puzzle to show that we're in the latter times. He's referring to if you look at Luke 12, they're referring to in the latter times. And so there's a case of things that it just keeps on. I mean, now it's like they're not even holding back. It's like, yeah, we can have post-birth abortion. Yeah, we can kill the child once it's born. Yeah, we can. I mean, there's no like pretense before as well. It's only a blab of cells, and at the time, people could go, well, maybe they're not. It's not about child yet. When does it happen? I don't know. Well, we better not do it, because just in case. Now it's like, hey, I don't care if it's a full-blown child. Hold it in your hand. Doesn't matter. So their true hearts are coming out, is my point. And the problem is people are being pulled along with it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back to the news, because I'm kind of going to the. Let's see. This is news. I mean, again, people know I'm not a big Q fan and all that. And the faith in the plan, and just kind of sit back and wait for all to happen. I'm really happy with that happening, but I mean, I'd like to see something to, other than some guy posting somewhere anonymously is my red bedrock that I'm going to have. And given the fact that so many people throughout history have been tortured and maimed and killed, and not to mention at the hands of our own military, it doesn't mean like we're immune from that. But I'll put the links up there. Again, I don't like to play people's videos on here for a number of reasons, but to make a summary, what she is reading in here is that letter was put out, I believe, on the 3rd. Again, you could listen to it, by the Marine commandant or whatever they call him, the head dude, warning the Marines to be ready to move. And reasons are giving for disasters or domestic disturbances. I mean, it's like when you hear this read, it's like, whoa, this is an official document. And it was verified by like Politico or something because there was some story came from it. And in fact, some other people are saying, well, the Trump is proving that he needs to be taken out because he's going to be doing things that are illegal and wrong. And so something's going on. And, one of the things I said, if I could talk to President Trump, all I would, I would say to him is, does he realize that these people are out for literal blood? They're out for blood, murder, blood, torture, killing. They hate you so much that they want to beat you into the ground and drag you around. And there's no hold bar, just scorched earth policy. It doesn't matter what happens. There's no compromise. There's no deals to be made. Just want to know if he knows that. Well, I think he knows that. I think what happened with this latest impeachment thing and how they're doubling down on even nothing. Now they got nothing squared. And I think I saw him in the press conferences, and he's hot. He's pissed. And I think it's like, that's it. I tried to work things out. I tried to do it. You guys are completely wrong. You're completely illegal. It's over the top. He's even using a coup, treason. I mean, there's no, if you can imagine Trump holding no holds barred, you can imagine. And so now, as of the 3rd, now you have the Brigadier General. Damn it, I don't want to click on it. Well, there it is. As of the 3rd, the military, at least the Marine Corps, has been put on moment's notice actions. So they're like ready to go, like right now. And 10 minutes from now, they're still ready to go right now. You know what I mean? Or that's what it is. Ready to move. Boom. And so it seems like something's afoot. And I don't know if they've uncovered some potential terrorist attacks, domestic or otherwise, that they're going to work on preventing. I don't, again, thank goodness Trump's not telling us because we want it to be effective. But that's very important. First, this is like the second or third thing that's happened in all of this Q stuff. With all this background of the plan, this is like the second or third thing. I went, hey, there's something going on, And I maintain, and it's not my own personal, I'm not looking for my own personal ego or nothing here. I want Jesus to come now and fix everything, or whoever they may send, whoever you may send, God sends or whatever, they all come. I mean, I told you I had a vision. It's in, look it up in YouTube. I had a vision of it happening. It was quite startling. I was driving and it was quite wonderful. I was crying like a baby as I was seeing this happen, and it's pretty awesome. And I would want that yesterday, let alone now. So that's something to look forward to. I mean, there might be some. Because they're doubling down, and they're talking about, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, too. Just put your finger in there so when I get into the last part. I thought I'd post a nice story. Here's a scenario. White male cop stops a speeding black man. The white cop pulls the black man over. What happens next? A, he arrests him for drug possession. B, he shoots him. Or C, he delivers the man's daughter. And it's C. He pulls the guy over, and the guy is like, hey, I know I'm speeding. I got no defense. Well, look, she's having a baby. Look. And the baby started to come out right there. So the officer, using the training they give you to do that, delivered the child. And that's the kind of, that's the America that I know. That's the black-white relations in reality. And the other stuff, whether it be a racist cop or the racist black guy or M13, all of it, those are the aberrations. This over here is America. Note here, Larry Sanger is a co-developer, co-inventor of, I got a mosquito. Man, mosquitoes are terrible here nowadays. Co-founder of Wikipedia, he's like, we need a decentralized encyclopedia network, a nonprofit knowledge commons that supports multiple competing articles and topic. Yeah. So now you got the guy who started, one of the guys who started Wikipedia saying this. I also reposted a article that I wrote a while back, Trumpzilla versus the DC swamp creatures. And you'll notice there's, Ryan is in the picture. I did a little poster graphic. Ryan's in the picture. He's gone. McConnell's been starting to turn around and help to some degree. and you might throw Shift and I can't think of the other guy's name. You might put those in there to update the graphics. Wasserman is not really involved much now. But it's worth a read because it kind of explains the energy behind what Trump is. Trump is exactly what we asked for without asking for him. And a part of the blame for somebody like Trump having to stand up, I mean, he thought he was watching this stuff for a long time, and finally he got involved. And he's not Mr. Congeniality. And it's what we deserve, and we don't even deserve it in terms of having it be successful, but you don't like how things are going on? Hey, we brought it to this point where nature, if you will, as the Daikaiju is in the Japanese lore, rises up the Daikaiju, the great beast, to go in and kick butt. And I'm not talking about beast in terms of Revelation. This is a different aspect of it. So you might want to take a little peek. Also, there's some talk about boycotting because they're putting out books which are nasty against the president or just nasty in general. And my thing is, I don't care if people want to sell anything. I mean, whether it be a political alliance or what, that doesn't bother me. It's when they don't want to sell it in terms of political bias. That's when, no, we're not going to sell this book because it's conservative, but we'll sell all this other stuff. That's the problem. The Joker movie, apparently they're waiting for all these shoots, all these attacks and all that didn't happen. I think with all this hoopla, I was thinking they're trying to hope somebody would do it. And they didn't. Yet anyway, I guess they're still working on it. Did that already? Yeah, for those in Illinois who were listening in the Illinois area, they're getting really bad with regulations, which will shut down independent little gun stores because of all the money and junk they have to go through to run the store. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to... Man, I tell you. Nothing like doing a live show to all of a sudden have everything happen. Excuse me for that. I can't reach the button easily. Hold on, one more time. There's some kind of allergy kicking in. So if you're in Illinois, you can click that link. I'll put it in the description. I'm going to go more. That's nice. I'll put it in the description. And you could click on that. And if you're in Illinois, you can send a letter to the committee. Trying not to sneeze now. I'm going to play this. I got sent to me. Calvin Cheney flagged this for me to watch. He said, not only does the guy look like me, he's got a how did he put it? Resemblance is canny, both remarkable in remarkable the resemblance and in character. So this guy it's another language. This guy is saying, so you're a clairvoyant, you can see the future. Yes, he can. So the guy knocks him out and he goes, I bet you didn't see that coming. As you can see, it doesn't take much to expose a liar. I tell you, Kelvin, I must have laughed for about 20 minutes off and on. It is kind of like my style, I guess. Anyway, it's always nice to have a little laugh. Another great deal here. This is probably, you probably read this or heard this already, but a police officer, woman police officer, entered in a neighbor's house who was also a police officer, thinking it was her house, according to her, shot and killed him, and she was convicted of murder. She got 10 years. And this is the brother of the son, a brother of the guy she killed. And this is just a still shot, but the links lead to somewhere where you can actually see him wanting to hug the person convicted of murder and doesn't want her to go to prison, forgives her, and so on like that. And it's quite touching. And I said, this is The real quality of forgiveness is healing for those who are wronged. So by him having that attitude, I mean, it helped the lady to some degree, known or unknown, because she was just totally distraught about this. But he himself now is not going to harbor the hate and the visceral upset of this happening. So this is the idea. Here we go. I apologize for this, the hosting. But I say to you, isn't there a quote from Jesus? You know, a guy I like to quote a lot because he's pretty smart. But I say to you, love your enemies, do the good those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who mistreat you. Whoever hit you on the cheek, you know that one, hit you on the cheek, the other one. I'm going to get down, but love your enemies, do good, and lend, expect nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you will be the sons of the Most High. For he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. Be merciful just as your Father is mercy, and so on. And it will be judged from you while you're doing it. So, I mean, this guy, by doing this, I'm not sure how old he is. He doesn't look terribly old. I don't know, 18, 20. I'm not even sure, but the wisdom involved in this, he might not even realize it. You know, he might just be going from the heart, but the goodness that has been done by that, it will be, you know, counted forever. Also, I've been talking about the banks are borrowing money from the feds at, you know, huge rates beyond normal. I mean, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 times higher than normal. Well, also at the same time with this picture, you'll see that last golden bar. What do I do? I guess I could. What do you do it here? Yeah, that last golden bar is that they are buying back their stocks at huge amounts, and this is where going along with Lionel Parkinson, which I've talked about before. I put the links up in the show. Excuse me, last week or week before with his podcast we did. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is where I think there's like a demon poking me or something when I'm doing the show. Get me to sneeze and burp and so this is what's going on with that. So be prepared for that. Ron Paul actually did a very nice little speech here where he's concerned about what's going on with the impeachment. He's been, you know, as you know, Ron Paul has not been shy about criticizing the president in his monetary actions. And so it was good to see him make a stand in there. Also, I want to mention this Librem 5, it's not out yet. It's a Linux-based cell phone that it will allow you to use current cell systems, depending on the SIM cards. It will use various apps that are out there, plus having their own. And your phone calls between individuals, you can switch to a secure mode so that it's completely encrypted. It's very good. It's expensive. I never bought one of these new phones. I mean, the most expensive price I ever had on my phone was $99, and I still have it. It's I don't even know what it is. It's a Galaxy like 4 or 5 or something, repackaged and sold as the Prime something or other. Still works, but it's like $600. But from what I understand, the iPhone, it comes out, it's like $1,000, which is ridiculous. But something to keep an eye on. Let's see. Well, again, I'm going to stay away from. Got to switch glasses here. These aren't working. I'm going to stay away from the impeachment stuff. Really. For another date. Anyway, whatever I did now is old one, and tomorrow it would be even older when new stuff comes out. Just keep an eye on. There we go. That's better. Okay. Yeah, this is what we're looking at in America. You know, we know about Hong Kong, right? I don't have to go through that. Hong Kong, million people plus every night or weekend in the street. Real good stuff. Here's the farmer. Farmers are protesting because this is in The Hague, in Netherlands, because they're putting restrictions on how much cattle you can have, you know, for greenhouse effects. The cow farts are, ruining the world. And so these farmers are realizing, I can't survive with these numbers they're saying. So they descended upon The Hague, which is the capital, like Washington, D.C., and it blocked traffic for 300 miles. I think it was one of the areas. It was phenomenal. Maybe it was kilometers. It's still a lot. So that's what's going to be needed here, I think, is that the people are going to have to get up and go downtown and just, shut it down by standing there, doing a Gandhi thing. No blowing up stuff. No, and be watch, you're going to be set up for false flags and all that, so you got to be careful. But this is what it's probably going to come down to. So watch what's going on in France, watch what's going on in the Netherlands, and, of course, the big one in Hong Kong. I'm glad this is October 2nd. It feels like 100 years ago. It's only a couple of days ago. I'm so glad the president's speaking incredibly obvious, but hitherto unspoken aloud. It's time for the lame Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, and sane Democrats to follow suit to really speak out about this. This is treason and whatnot. I mentioned before, Vivaldi, I got it up and running now. I have it all set up so it works. I like it. You can adjust securities even better than Firefox, faster. It's running on the open source part of Chrome, so you could use Chrome extensions, and yet it's all internally done by Vivaldi in terms of secure. So I recommend that. I got links to that too. Here's a California assemblywoman honoring Chairman Mao and the anniversary of China. Chairman Mao, who killed 100 million is the guess? 100 million? And we're going to honor him. That's nice. All right, I think that's covered that. I'm going to quickly go to the other page. Just to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I missed some stuff last week. And if I do come up with some articles that I missed, I do put it in the notes in the bottom anyway, so you can kind of take a little cruise down there. Yeah, I've been, this is a good point to say this. I'm officially have launched things on Gab, gab.com. It's free. I've set up a Gab group for Feet to the Fire, which will be set up for people to make comments from the show. You join the group. I guess I approve it. I have just set it up, so I'm the only one in there at the moment. And you can post comments and you post news stories. So all the people of the Feet to Fire group can hang out if they'd like. And it's also, Gab is total freedom of speech. It's really a good system they got going there. It's really, it's blossoming into both a replacement for Twitter and Facebook. And it also allows you to post things from Gab. You can post them on Twitter or Facebook as well, tell people. So I've been posting some of the people there. It's Wendy Patterson is a news aggregator that's there. And I've been reposting some things. John Kerry, State Department, sought to build an activist network throughout Ukraine just days after Trump won. Hello? Talk about a plan. Yeah, it says Romney says Trump is a populist ass, and I tweeted out and whatever. Trump has a real knack of triggering pompous asses to reveal their own pompous assness. Laughing at my own joke, but I thought it was kind of clever. Trump tweeted out a scene from Walt Disney with the nose growing, and I said, "Watch out! Disney will file a complaint on you. You'll get canceled from Twitter. That's the last we need is to have Trump silenced from Twitter." All right, so let me get into what I want to talk here, and the latter days. The phrase, I don't know what's going on with my. I don't mean to gross anybody out here. I apologize. The whole idea of the latter days is people were talking about when is the end coming. I think I got some Matthew. Let me just go to this and bear with me because I have quotes that I've taken from BibleGateway.com, which I highly recommend. And I don't know how well you can see this. It's HD, but I don't know how it's working out there. And of course, if you're listening, I'll be reading it, so that's okay. But it says here in this part here I'm looking at, when he was sitting at the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us when these things will happen." Because he was talking about a bunch of stuff happening. The temple was going to be torn down and not a stone unturned, and blah, blah, blah. So he takes them privately. These are the important parts I want to stress. Takes them privately. So this is now for the disciples, the in crowd, not for public. Not that there's contradiction, but he's explaining it to these guys. And they say, "Tell us when these things will happen. What will be the sign of your coming and the end?" You look at these. That's why I like this. You put these little footnotes, and you can get into the Greek or Hebrew word, in this case, Greek word behind it, or consummation of the age. So it's like the signs of your coming and the completion of the age. And that's funny. The age, or eon, is the Greek word. There's no real number to explain how long an age is. People say 1,000 years, but it isn't. Most of the times that are referred to in the Bible aren't actually quantitated. They're like when it talks about times, and half time or something like that. So what is that? So people say, well, that's 3.5 weeks, because the word time in there, if you look up the word in Daniel, the word is, or is it Revelation? I think it's Revelation. You look up there, it's the times means in there literally a period of time. So people say, well, it means a day, or it's figurative. So it means like 3.5 weeks, which is really 3.5 years, and you know what I mean. That's why I don't get all that technical stuff here. But completion of the age, and that's the important part to give there. And he talks in this line, and now remember, he's talking to them. Now, another thing I want to mention here is that a lot of people think he's talking to the Jews, which they are. He is at this point. My way of looking at it is the teacher is talking to the pupil. I am now in that pupil's role. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to get this whole hierarchy about Israel, what they are, or the church is now Israel. No, I don't go anywhere in there. I'm taking it very personal. I'm taking it to Jesus. Jesus is my teacher, and Jesus is talking to his students. That's how I'm looking at it. Now, there could be more to it, and I'm not saying it isn't, but that's what I'm looking. See that no one misleads you, for many will come in my name and say, I am the Christ. Now, that could be taken several ways. They could say Jesus was the Messiah. Christ, being Christos, means the Greek word for Messiah. For Hebrew word Messiah, Christos is the Greek word. All right, I'm the Christ. Or they could be saying that they themselves are the Christ. So you can take them both ways, and will mislead many. Usually the first part is what I think happens to, because it's rare that someone comes up and goes, yeah, I'm Jesus. That's kind of easily debunked, if you will. Whereas when someone's talking about the actual Jesus Christ, you'll hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not frightened, for those things must take place, but it is not yet the end. So now the idea is not that you're going to be frightened of a war, not be frightening of the destruction of the earth. So this is important when I think when you cut this up, seeing that you're frightened of the end, because it's not the end. These things must take place first. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. Now, it's important to notice that nation and kingdom. What's the difference between a nation and a kingdom? Well, nation is more of a nationality. So let's say that you will have an ethnicity will rise up against other ethnicities, right? And kingdom, which would be a nation as we would know it, political organization will be against other kingdoms. And in various places, there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Again, Jesus is talking about the end. And these things are not the end. They will deliver you into tribulation and will kill you. And you will be hated by all nations because of my name. Now, he just told them, don't be afraid. And then he says, and they may torch you and kill you. But don't be afraid. So it's more that he's setting the tone for the times. Look around you, and if you see nation ethnicity rising at ethnicity, country against country. You have earthquakes in diverse places. Now, that could mean that because we have multiple news sources now, instant news, that this means we hear about a lot. It doesn't mean that the earthquakes have to increase per se, but our knowledge of them will increase, or both. You see how you got to be careful when you're looking at this stuff, not to, go run with it. These are merely birth pains. They will deliver you into tribulation, merely a birth pain. They will kill you, a birth pain. You'll be hated by all nations because of my name. And at that time, many will fall away. And I looked up the fall away part. I like when the little notes come up. It helps you. Literally will be caused to stumble. So many will be caused to stumble. Perhaps if they have blackmail tapes of them doing something they shouldn't have. Or in these days of deep fake now, it almost doesn't matter. They can make it up. And many will fall away and will betray one another. I think this was written specifically for Judge Napolitano. And who's the other guy? Not Bartucci. What's his name? I can't think of his name. That one guy, he was this press secretary for about a week, who's walking around saying Trump. Let me check the chat room. All right. Excuse me. I've seen his name face now, so I can't get it. But I'll look in the chat room to see if somebody is coming up with it. Okay. Well, anyway, maybe it'll come to me. Starts with a B. Anyway, where they go? Will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. Many false prophets, and the word prophet for me, I look at prophet as someone who can discern truth, discern reality. To me, that's what a prophet is. Can a prophet speak in the future? Yeah, but to me, when you're prophesying, after I've done a study on this is my personal decision. When someone prophesies, is they're speaking truth. And whether the truth be futurist view or speaking truth to get through the murk of today or the truth of yesterday, that's what prophecy is, or prophesying, or prophets. Many false prophets, many liars, people who are showing what the real truth is. All we have to do is look at the news about this whole stuff going on with Ukraine, and they are telling you, false telling you the truths will arise and mislead many. Now, I know the numbers are going down in CNN, MSNBC, but it's still millions of people. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. So much crap. I mean, I'm going through my feeds and I'm talking about another story about child trafficking and how this one girl, this kid, who's 10, has been in prison for several years and raped daily, and holy Moses. And you say this stuff, God, why do you let this stuff happen? You can see where the love grows cold. It's like, I can't deal with this anymore. I gotta just not look at it. I gotta turn away. I can't look at it. Because it's so horrendous, and people who aren't psychopaths or narcissists or both can't deal with this stuff. So they tend to grow cold. That's why you can't do that. You gotta channel through this. When I mean channel, I mean like passes through you. Forget the word channel in terms of spiritism and anything like that. You gotta just let it pass through you. You can't grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. Saved. Now, a lot of theology gets into, well, it means they'll escape hell. No, the word saved many times in the Bible simply means not be destroyed in a carnal sense, in a life sense, in a worldly sense, in a human sense, in a physical body sense. They'll be saved from love growing cold. They'll be saved from, look, we're looking back. I'm using my fingers. You can't see that. I'll go there. You'll be, what will they be saved from? Love going cold, saved from being misled. They'll save from betraying or hating one another. They'll be saved from falling away, or as the notes say, being stumbling and falling like this. This is what, a simple critical reading of it is. Just simple. It's just not a big deal. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached into the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Well, that's a big statement, and it's in the process of happening. So now this is where we get into the I talking about the Jewish temple? You're talking about this, and I just kind of go over this stuff and say, what is applicable to me? My life will stick. Therefore, when you see the abomination and desolation, which was spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, and then let the reader understand. I'm sure that's a footnote from the actual was Matthew or whoever actually wrote it down, or it could be a copy, and and those who are in Judea must flee for the mountains. So this could be taken where he's talking about locally now. But still, it would apply when you see these things happen, and perhaps you get your bug out bag. See how you can apply it to you without getting too theologically deep in this and so forth. Whoever is on the housetop must not go in and get things that are in his house. Whoever is in the field must not turn back his cloak, because woe to those who are pregnant in those days and are nursing in those days. Boy, woe to those people who have child through them now, going to the school, eating poison food, trying to have them give gender reassignment and all this knucklehead stuff. For then there will be a great tribulation, such that has not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor will ever. Big statement. Tribulation that has not occurred. And we're talking, you have Mao, speaking of Mao, you got the Mao Zedong thing. You have Hitler. You have Stalin. You have Idi Amin and these other dictators. And it's like, nope, doesn't hold a candle to it. Wow. Okay. Well, what can be bigger than that? Well, worldwide, I would say. And we're looking at the fighting now of Donald Trump all alone, basically, along with, we'll say us, but here I am sitting here talking in a microphone. He's out there with guns trained on him, waiting just for the right minute all this time, whether they be literal or figurative. Till now, until those days, unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, which would be the chosen ones, and that could be a whole theological discussion on that, but God is intervening in what's going on this planet, which would have ended all life for those, perhaps those elected ones, chosen ones who have been praying, who has been out there living and loving, who have not had their love grown cold, who has not fallen, that God will think of them and decide to enter space-time and intervene and cut those days short so life would be saved, but for the sake of the elect, they will be cut short. So we have a promise here that if this was let to play out to its natural conclusion, nobody would survive. So I don't know if you're talking a nuclear war. I don't know if you're talking figuratively, would we all be back to, living in caves and the human race as we know it wouldn't survive, or literally every single person would be gone, that the earth would be poisoned, there'd be massive bioweapons. I don't know. But we have a statement here and this is one of the things I really hang my hat on. Unless those days had been cut short, no life would have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. That is why, I give hope every day that I get up and move. Is like I get up and say, God, let today be the day. And not the day the earth ends. That's not what I'm praying for. The day that this stuff is ended, that those days get cut short and all this stuff happens. And again, I had some kind of vision for what it's worth. I'll put the links in the bottom. What I think may happen at some point. God is the Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end, is past, present, future, all in one, right? So God sees the timeline. And God sees what happens. Absolutely. Okay, this is going to happen. I'm making up a number. 2 years from now, this will happen and all life will end. I'm just making it up, right? He sees that. It's absolute truth that he sees that. He's like, well, you know what? We don't need to have it go that far. I know it's going to go that far. Because I am merciful, I'm going to step in here. I'm going to get in there and do something to stop it. And that's where my hope is at this point. And then he reiterates, if anyone tells you, behold, there's a Christ, or there he is, don't I believe him, for false Christs and false prophets, false messiahs, false saviors, and take that in the most literal sense. people are going to help you. They're going to come in. We're going to save the United States from Trump and all his terrible things, right? You got to take it literally too, not just spiritually. And false people who are telling the truth, saying they're telling the truth, and the media's got that. That's the way to say the whole deal there. Will rise and will show great signs and wonders, so as to mislead, if possible, even the elect, the chosen ones. So these people are going to come up and show great signs and wonders. What if it's going to be like a deep fake video of Trump, eating a child or something? Oh my gosh. But we'll know. You'll know in your heart that's not true. And we also have the head knowledge of the deep fake that's been released. So it's going to be so great, and the signs and wonders are being so great. What's the sign for the signs here? Attesting miracles, as to mislead even the elect. But behold, I told you in advance. So if they tell you, behold, he is in the wilderness, do not go, or behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe them. For just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes even to the west, so will the coming of the Son of Man be. Now I'm going to start crying now. What a wonderful, fantastic thing. I cannot wait for that to happen. So, you see where I'm going with this? Are we in the latter days? There's more. But immediately following those tribulation of those days, so this is going to be after these events have happened, and we're in the middle of it. I'm going to make an assertion here, a big surprise, right? We're in the middle of this. So after this happens, it talks about the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give up its light, the stars will fall from the sky, the powers of the heaven and earth will be shaken, and the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and all tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see. Now, tribes. Interesting use of the word tribe. Groups of people who are presumably not in the elect, in the chosen, in the spiritual, in the love of God, that group. So I'm gonna skip that now. I mean, we're talking, that's coming up after what we're in right now. All I'm saying is, are we in the latter days? Is the question. I'm going to read this part just for. So therefore, be on alert, for you don't know which day the Lord is coming. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known what time of the night the thief is coming, he would have been on the alert, so he would not have allowed his house to be broken into. For this reason, you must be ready. The Son of Man is coming in an hour when you don't know. So we don't know when this end is going to come. But let me get to the next piece here. I'm going to pause on all. First, I want to bring this up. I'm going to go to Revelations in a minute. But I'm going to come up with the idea of two witnesses. Now, we're going to talk about two witnesses. Why two witnesses? And if you go back in the Old Testament, you could see that on the evidence of two witnesses or three witnesses, he who is to die shall be put to death. He shall not be put to death on the evidence of one witness. Now, remember this. Get that in your head. We got one whistleblower. Got two whistleblowers. Let me just that's a little season. It's not even my whole point. A single witness should not rise up against a man on account of any iniquity or any sin which he has committed. How about Ford, and then Lassie Ford, and they all went away? Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep your finger in there, and we're going to go to Revelation 9. I'm going to have to skip down here. God, out there was worse. Leave in the car. They will tread, for it has been given to the nations, they will tread underfoot the holy city for 42 months. Now, we could be talking about Jerusalem and all that. It's, again, I'm not looking at it. It's not applicable to me, per se. I will grant authority to my two witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. Now, believe me, when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm not making this fit like a shoehorn, making it fit. That's not my point. I'm trying to read this stuff And what happens is when I ponder it, I pray that whatever's in here that'll help will come out and kind of like fit into the world at this moment. It'll define it. It'll explain it. This is what I prayed for, a gift of prophecy, as Paul had said. I'm not saying I got it, but I got a lot of answers. So for me personally, I'm content that I have the ability to pull stuff out of there. It's a gift. I'm happy to do it. Critically thought as well as spiritually understood. So the 1,260 days, I'm not even going to go there, what that even means. A period of time, a lot of numerology in the Bible, 40 and 7 and all that have meanings of it, right? As opposed to a literal day and all that. But I'm just going to let that go for here. Clothed in sackcloth. Now, that custom, as I understand it, when you're praying, you're humbling yourself and you're clothed in sackcloth rather than wearing fancy clothes. So it's in other words, I'm not going to wear fancy clothes. I'm going to wear humble clothes. And that's what this whole sackcloth was. Now, perhaps literally they were putting on sackcloth and ashes, But the principle to come up is this. Now, I haven't done any math. It'd be interesting to find out from the time Trump got elected, or perhaps when he went to go for president. I wonder how long that's been. 1,260 days. I guess somebody in the chat room maybe can do some math to tell me how much time that is. And Trump has been humiliated again and again and again and again and again as he's doing his work. As you can see, I'm putting out a possible feeler that perhaps Trump would be one of these witnesses. I've said this before, but this is getting more and more to me like it's the case. I read authority. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that stand before the God of the earth. Olives back in that time was a cash crop. You had oil, you had the olives for fruit. The oil is multifunction. You'd burned it, you used it in food, you had anointed yourself with it. It was medicinal. So these 2 olive trees, I'm going to take that as these 2 people are bringing sustenance and healing. And the 2 lampstands are made of metal and give off light. So they're exposing the darkness. So these 2 witnesses who are bringing back the economy, who are helping people get jobs, who are, okay, I'm just saying, I'm not, and they're shedding light with metal lampstand, firmly shedding light on a lot of the stuff that's going on. Will stand before the Lord of the earth. The Lord of the earth. If anybody wants to harm them, fire flows from their mouth and devours their enemies. Anybody tries to harm Trump, fire does come from his mouth, all right? I mean, not literally, but now they're saying their mouths. So I'm going to get into the second witness is not really clear yet. Blows out of their mouth and devours their enemies. So if anybody wants to harm them, he must be killed in this way. So I've talked about the Democratic or liberal or whatever. They're not Democrat. They're communist. Whatever neo-communists. When they do something to Trump, it boomerangs back on them. I mean, they're coming after Trump for corruption in Ukraine, and what's coming back? You have Biden's son, Kerry's stepson. Now we have Pelosi's son is involved in this stuff. And you got Biden who's opening his face on TV talking about how he did this, right? So they go after Trump. It comes back at him. And in big time. They have power. These have power to shut up the sky so that the rain will not fall during the days of their prophesying. And they have power over the waters to turn them into blood and to strike the earth with every plague as often as they desire. Well, there's a mouthful there. And I think this is something that's yet to be seen, and we might be seeing it. I just told you about this thing happening with the Marines, right? So I'd say keep this part, what's the power to shut up the sky so the rain won't fall? There's weather modification. We've talked about that, but I don't want to, now I'm reaching, right? I don't want to reach. I want it to come out. So let that go. When they have finished their testimony, the beast that comes up from the abyss will make war with them, overcome them, and kill them. Who's the beast in the abyss? We're looking future events. So all we can do is be aware of this, whether it be literal or metaphoric or both. And their dead bodies will, this is when I read this for years, I went like, this is not going to happen. Their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, which mystically is called Sodom and Egypt, where also their Lord was crucified. So there's a whole little mouthful in there. I won't let that fly. Those from the peoples of the tribes and tongues and the nations will look at their dead bodies for 3.5 days. Again, not sure what the 3.5 could be literal, all right? And will not permit their dead bodies to be laid in a tomb. So maybe they're going to not lay them in state or, whatever. And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them and celebrate, and they will send gifts to one another because these two prophets tormented those who dwell on the earth. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Who can be hated that much that perhaps literally they're not allowed to be buried, or perhaps they're not going to be buried in state or, whatever. And they're going to rejoice about it and give gifts to one another. Well, when I see the visceral hate on Trump and how they hope he gets assassinated and they hope the economy collapses to get rid of Trump and all this stuff, well, I believe it could be that bad now. I mean, I go, okay, I see, I got it, okay. How can somebody be hated so much? I've seen it. I've never seen anybody hated this much by so many people across the entire nation. China would like to see him. They tried to work with him and try to, kind of work him in under their wing. It didn't work. So China hates him. I mean, Russia's like the good guys in this, so to speak. Though there's no good guys in the world. There's no good governments. But and you need to get into the EU and even England and all these people. They all hate him. So it's like, whoa. And then, but after the 3.5 days, breath of life comes into them, and they stood on their feet, and great fear fell upon those who were watching, and they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here." And they went up in the cloud, and their enemies watched them. Wow. Would that be absolutely awesome? Now, I don't know if it's literally going to happen like that. I don't rule out literal. I don't rule in figurative. I let it be. Whatever it is, right? What if you want to look at it figuratively, let me just put a figurative sense on there. They think they have him impeached, right? And they impeached him, and they tried him, and they did something, and they thought they finally had him. They're talking about it. They're laying their political death out and open for days. They're celebrating around the world. All the people who were pretending to be Trump's friends, who, okay, now he's gone, would come out and we expose ourselves. Because that's the key from this. Is right now we're at a time of people exposing their inner hearts. Remember, nothing in secret will be kept. Now we're opening up the heart, and what's in the inside's coming out in the outside, whether you like it or not. So for those of us, we got to make sure our insides are together here, because they're going to come out, right? So just imagine that they say they beat him in some kind of political battle. He's considered dead, defeated for 3.5 days, be it literally or not. They celebrate their death, and then all of a sudden, an idea, the breath of life from God comes in them, and they slip on their feet. Maybe there's some kind of an ideal. Perhaps the Supreme Court upholds something, or some kind of whatever. Believe me, I'm just throwing kind of just seeing what sticks. And so I don't know. Then they come up to heaven in the cloud and all that. I don't know. Again, it doesn't mean that we're actually in the latter days and all this stuff. It could mean that we are in a cycle of it. And give you an example. For many years, centuries, people have thought it was the end days. And then there were evidence to lead to that. And then there's something in like a revival or some good thing happens. And it's like God said, okay, it's not time yet. Got close. We're not time yet. And so we might be building up for a cycle that gets close to what we would think would be the end, but then it actually is cleared itself, and it goes back to being a somewhat, righteous planet, righteous in the term of, loving and so it doesn't mean we're in the end times, the final end times, and we're looking at the end. It could be, look at it as each time it gets worse, and then it comes down, and then worse, it comes down. And there might be another couple cycles left before the end comes. But it doesn't matter to us right here and now. It's bad. So rather than waiting for the end to come, what I mentioned on the earlier verse, I'm looking for the intervention of God through some extremely clever and very humble and backdoor stuff. God doesn't have to come down like, I'm God, because that's, of course, what the devil wants, all that power and stuff. God can just simply tweak a couple things in the background, and humans get the credit for it, where really it's all God. And that's where I go back to the Old Testament when it talked about they were going to stand against these army, and they're like, hey, they're going to kill us. They got many more people. And then, who was it? Forgetting the prophet's name. Again, it'll come to me. He opened their eyes and let them see the army of angels that are standing with them. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but all I'm saying is it's pretty important now. We're in, if not the latter days, we're in a cycle of the latter days. And these things I'm talking about, the two witnesses, that's waiting ahead of us. And right now, if I can make some guesses, why Mike Pence should be worried about impeachment too? Why the impeachment inquiry turns to Vice President Mike Pence? Impeachment will test Pence-Trump relationship. So Pence, I've already seen, here's an article, MSNBC, how to impeach Pence and Trump. And this strategy talks about putting Nancy Pelosi as president. Talk about beast. So, is Pence the second witness? Well, he's been pretty lax in his witnessness. At least Trump is very flamboyant, so he might do more in front of the scenes. Maybe Pence will have his day. But this is what I see coming on here, that we're in these latter days, whether it's the latter days or a cycle of a latter day of a cycle. I'm not going to argue apples and oranges here or try to correlate the two. It doesn't matter, because we're here and now in this mess, and it's correlating with the same formula that's here. And so the answer for us is the same formula. Be truthful. Don't lose heart. Still help and love one another. Don't lie. Don't get swept up in it. Don't get into hate. When they do stuff and they when I watch the MSNBC or CNN and all those people, and they just bold-faced absolutely lie, and they got the energy. When you look in the camera, there's this energy in the camera, and they're just vile type people. And it's like, what? Were these people always that way? Or maybe they had that tendency, and now it's allowing it to come to fruition. It's like it's fermenting, I guess would be a good word. And now you have the corruption coming out all over. But mark my words, what we're seeing here is what's inside is coming out. And I played a song, an ancient one, at the beginning as a bumper, which song I did. I love that song. I listen to it as praise to God all the time. And Zeph Daniels, who's got a podcast just on Spreaker, just look up Zeph Daniel report, the Zeph report, and you'll see he's been doing it longer than I've been doing this. And he's got his sound studio. He's a musician, author, musician, playwright, scorer, and all that stuff. And that's why I played it. But in there, it talks about come bring within without. God deals is living inside us until we can bring within us to without and the out of us. And this is what we need to do right now is in prayer. Prayer is to have God really help us to not get sucked into the negative energy. I mean, right now, the whole job thing I got, the whole business, the trucking thing, the whole company is all really not doing good. I just can't let it get to me. Something will work out. Here I am, 62 years old. I made it here. Something's work out. And, we have to, maybe I don't want, part of the option will be humbling or it will be unpleasant. But remember, when Jeremiah was when they came by, took Jeremiah, Babylon took Israel away. They didn't get Jeremiah because he was in prison. He was in the dungeons, probably up to his knees in poop, and that actually spared him from being taken away. So I'm also hoping God decides to not use a dungeon of poop to protect me, but I'm just using the point there. So, I mean, cycling back to this stuff, are we in the end times? Yeah, we're in the latter days. We're in the latter days of this cycle, be it the cycle, the end. Of course, I tend to think it is when I start looking at the weaponry they have, how they can make these movies now with people, and you can do stuff that you didn't even do. Truth is on the edge of being unprovable now with the video, and plus they're just blatantly lying anyway and just not telling you. So it doesn't even have to have some kind of fancy videos. They could just lie. And everybody can lie together and high-five one another. So with Trump doing something with the Marines here, we'll see. There might be something going on here. It might be coming to a point. If there's any comments, I'll look in the two chat areas. Scaramucci. That's the guy. That's the guy who betray one another. Like Scaramucci. Yeah, thanks. Fredo. Fredo Scaramucci. I'm smart. I don't want respect. Yeah. Yeah. New York Times had a headline, April 18th. Happy birthday, Karl Marx. You were right. I'm reading in the chat room now. All right. Yeah. And Boris in the UK, he's getting beat up like Trump. We're at the end. Paul saying we're at the end, but the end goes for a long time. Well, again, time is speeding up now. The quickening, if I can borrow a phrase, and so it's a long time that would normally take for all these things to transpire, but they're happening really fast. So it might be a long distance covered, but the engine's speeding up. Let me see. I'm going to go into the chat room here of the Spreaker folks. The Cook is there. Hi. Canuta. Things are about to happen. Yeah, I don't believe that Trump and Pence are the two witnesses, but it's a very interesting show anyway. Yeah, I think what the Bible a lot of times does is it has these overlays that can be applied over and over again. The overlay is like the formula, and it could be applied. So I'm not making a commit. I'm not saying here, yes, they are the two witnesses. I'm just saying it's kind of interesting how it overlaps. And things tend to reoccur again and again. The cycles reoccur. The same type of stuff happens over again. New faces, new coat of paint, little new surroundings, but the same principles. So this is why I thought I would put this together to share my points of it. Again, I'm not arguing doctrines and whatnots. I'm kind of looking at this as I use the word overlay. I don't know. I don't know how many other words I could say. Kind of an overlay on life. And this is what I get from it. So I'm going to stall for a couple of minutes and see if there's any kind of comments. All right, I think I'm doing all right here. If everybody's nothing else to say here, I will check. I'm going to check texts, emails to make sure. All right, nothing pressing. All right, I think I made my point for what it's worth. And I really would say to people that you have to, my suggestion, what I'm going to be taking to heart myself is to avoid negativity, to embrace love to one another. I have to shield myself from the debauchery that's going out there, the killing of children, and being proud of it. Some story I read, where people have children and have abortion as part of like a sexual routine. They're turned on by making a baby, and I hear this stuff and I go like, oh my God. But just imagine those people when they die and wake up on the other side. Now, I have a theory that a lot of the sin of the flesh, as the Bible puts it, is literally in the brain, in the body, right? So you have the spirit coming in from God. The spirit on this side meets with the body, and there's a contamination, if you will. And the goal of the spirit is to control the body, not have the body control, contaminate the spirit with the stuff. So you can have some thoughts or some tendencies or whatever that are sinful, harmful. I mean, just having bad eating problems or any kind of, drinking or whatever are going to cause harm, right? So the idea is to have the spiritual energy come in and reprogram, or Paul uses the phrases like beat down the flesh and the submission and all that. Okay, but this is what we really need to do at this point, because if the energy levels are getting so high, you're going to have people killing one another in the streets for beeping the horn. And it's going to get crazy. It's already crazy. It's going to get crazier. So what I would say are our goals of people who believe in God, and in particular are Christians, to really read what Jesus says. Forget, I hate to say, get out of all the doctrines of the church and forget all that stuff, the higher stuff, right? Forget all of that. How many angels can fit on the head of a pin? And just get down to the basics. Read the stuff, and what Jesus says, do it. It's and pray. God sends the energy. Jesus is involved. He sent the Comforter, as it says in the NASB, referring to the Holy Spirit. When he left, he's involved now in earth, in humans, in spirituality. And he taught us to pray to the Father. So me personally, I pray to God. But, God is a delegated. God is not one to necessarily get involved personally. That's his whole point. Is he delegates his stuff because he's created, infinite amount of people doing all kinds of things all over the universe. And so there's, but you can still pray to God and have that trickle down, if I could say that. So that's how I kind of do it. And I think I've been helped many times by people like Michael, Archangel, and others by delegation. In Michael, for example, when he fought against Satan, says, "May the Lord rebuke you." He didn't do it in his own energy. He didn't fight Satan man to man or angel to angel or whatever, arc to arc. He said, "Let the Lord rebuke you." And it's very important that we rather than take things in our own hands, we kind of let God flow through us. And that's kind of what I'm looking at doing here. Is that we all here? Children are an heritage from the Lord. Offspring, reward from Him. Yeah, yeah, and people are killing them. And it's like, well, anyway, I had a couple weeks ago, I had a thing where I was very upset at the end, and I prayed God. Maybe it was last week. I don't remember now. And I prayed to God, what can we do with all this stuff going on? I was very upset. Because what am I supposed to do? Try and find kids and fill up my house with them or something? I mean, what am I supposed to do here? I'm only going to be here for a little while, and I got the eternity looking forward. And what came to me was, and I put it in the chat room, because it was right after when I turned off the air, it came to me, it said, do what you can do, when you can do it, and leave the rest to me. It was very comforting. Because I have to remember, I can't take on the world. I'm just me. There's no, that's why I laugh when people told Trump what he should do. It's like, first thing I would say to them is like, okay, first you got to get elected. Oh, that's impossible. So whatever you say after that doesn't matter. Okay? You have to be able to be in a position to do what you got to do. So telling people what they should do or other people should do doesn't matter. It's what you can do. So do what you can do as you can do it and leave the rest to God. And it was very, it was peaceful. I mean, people are still getting hurt and whatever, but God knows about that. God knows about every sparrow that falls from the sky. He knows all about how many hairs on your head. And so when things happen, God's paying attention. And He's allowing these things to happen. And He's not because He doesn't care, He's evil. There's a bigger purpose and plan that all of this stuff, even the evil stuff, will work out to good in the end. I totally believe that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. That's why people say they're an atheist and there's no God, and when they die, they just disappear. It's like, well, why do you just not die and get it over with? What's the point of living in? I could see if you're multi-rich and have all the money and power and all that stuff, but if you're just a regular old Joe, what's the point of being alive if there's nothing to it except working and dying like slaves? So, all right, let me. I started up again. Let me see. Yeah, I think with the angels, I think the angels are a little bit, I'm not going to use worried as a human term, but the angels are the bad angels, the so-called ascended masters that a lot of people channel and all this other stuff. Those guys are taking the glory themselves. And the good angels, God's angels, are their big prime directive is to not have us look at them like they're God. That's what the fallen angels do. And so it's important for them to be in the background, not take the glory or the credit, and when it does come, give it to God. Because after all, everything is without God, it's nothing. So I wrote that song, H&1. I'm so happy with it. I love it so much. I've heard it a million times. I'll hear it a million times more. And I look to me, it's just it's a gift of God. Working within my own creativity and ability, and yet there's God in the background doing it. So I'm really happy with it. All right, I guess that's it. We're all done. I'm going to hit the big roundup. And we'll be back again next week, provided we all can. And keep everybody in prayers. I mean, I pray for the president that he doesn't screw up, nor do people screw him up, because we're all humans, and he's under unbelievable pressure. It's amazing what he can take, and that's why. He's, we have him. He's a daikaiju. He's Godzilla, Trumpzilla, because we need him at this time to take all that stuff as well as do what he has to do. Okay. There we go. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Oops, it's the wrong button.